Welcome back, listeners. This is your RJ Imad Kasir on Planet FM 87.6. The show is Mind and Muse. And before this news bulletin, I shared my views on a famous book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And moreover, we'll be joined by a wonderful guest with us from Lahore. She's an author, she is a screenwriter, she is a wonderful person, Miss Zahra Batool. So we welcome her to our show. Welcome Zahra Batool Sahiba.
Assalamu alaikum, Imad. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I'm very happy to be here and I'm looking forward to a good conversation.
Walaikum assalam, and thank you very much for joining us. Listeners, let me introduce that Zahra Batool, she has authored books like The Stranger. It was published in 2019, and then followed by The Silent Intruder. And then in 2023, One Step Too Many, and then followed by another wonderful book, How to Kill Your Hunger, and then Letters to Love. And listeners, two of her books, she had directed short movies on those books. One is One Step Too Many, and the other one is How to Kill Your Hunger. So let's start with
I want to add a correction here. One Step Too Many and How to Kill Your Hunger are I've co-written these as screenplays. So right, they are not books.
Fine, these are screenplays. Yes. Thank you very much. So let's start with the basic question. Tell us about your early education and about your background, about your inspirations.
Okay, so when I was 16, I succumbed a spinal cord injury, and that's when I got paraplegic. And so I was in a long sabbatical, like away from everything. I had to stop studying. And as we are talking about inspiration here, so at that time my reading was amplified. I used to read a lot of books. So, you know, when you are going through something like that type of an isolation, and despite that isolation, books were a great outlet. So somehow, eventually, like I understood that storytelling and stories are something that are always going to be a point of inspiration for me. I always wanted to write, but that phase actually pushed me closer to that. And eventually, when I got further in life, I did my O-levels and A-levels, then I did my O-level, A-level, then I did my bachelor's BA from Punjab University. And during this phase, I went to an event where I met my mentor. Her name is Simra, and she actually pushed me to start blogging. So from that blog, I first, started writing blogs, but then I published a short story, which actually got, a lot of views. People were very interested in reading that. And that was my cue that, okay, the stories that I have in my head, I am able to capture people's attention through that. And that was the point where, I started writing fiction. And then eventually in 2019, within a month, I actually finished my novel, the first one, The Stranger. It is a love story again. I think it's a love story that was very nicely appreciated. I published, when we self-publish, it's up to us how much copies we need. So I self-published and I printed 30 copies that, okay, I'll, just give it to my friends and family. But Alhamdulillah, because of my social media handle and a little exposure, I think I sell 100 copies of that book. So that was like a huge, motivational push for me that, okay, I can tell a story and I can make people think about it.
That is
so
very
that
great.
Gave me power. Yeah, so that's how the journey began, and that's how I continued with publishing books and, writing. And then screenwriting came into picture a bit later. I'm a self-taught person. Most of my career is coming from a very self-taught place. So I learned screenwriting, and then I started writing for people outside Pakistan. Like in English, I used to write screenplays, but I never got credit for it. Like I was a ghostwriter, so I used to be paid, and they'd use their names. So then what happened is that I wanted my name on the screen. So I did those projects, and then in 2024, that I told you, One Step Too Many, it's a semi-autobiographical short film. I co-produced it and co-wrote it, and that was the first film that I did as a screenwriter. That was my ultimate transition from ghostwriting to actually having my name, on screen as a writer.
This is really inspirational, and I'm sure that our listeners they'll also be loving this fact that you mentioned that The Stranger, that was the first novel you wrote in 2019, and then the movie you just mentioned, that One Step Too Many, and you saw your name on the screen, and it must have been a proud moment for you. And you mentioned that this movie was displayed in some festivals also globally. So can you please share this with our listeners?
Yes, I think it's now at this point, One Step Too Many has actually been internationally recognized in more than 10 film festivals. It includes Emporia Film Festival, which happens in Korea. Then it was an official representation from Pakistan at the Dushanbe Film Festival in 2024, 23, I think, 24. And I remember that, and then other than that, we have there's a festival that happens in Canada that is about disabilities, and that's where my film was also premiered as a Canadian festival. And there are like 10-11 film festivals. I have forgotten the names. It's if you go to my Instagram and my social media, I keep updating my audience about the selections. And it's a very proud moment when something like that happens, because it's a semi-autobiographical account, and something very personal to me. And it's always it's a very happy-go-lucky thing that when people watch your film. And now recently, this film is going to be screened in Italy very soon as a special mention, as a special reference on one film festival.
That is really a wonderful short film, and I've seen it, and the listeners who are listening to this conversation, they will definitely go and watch that, and they'll definitely go to your social media accounts also to know more about you. And I've gone through all of that. Tell us something about your latest book, this Letters to Love. What is this all about, and why was this book important for you to write at this stage of your life?
Okay, so Letters to Love, it's my third book that I've self-published. It was self-published in October. And it is now self-published in all international online platforms, and in Pakistan I've also partnered with a self-publishing company, so it's available everywhere. Letters to Love is a contemporary love story, and it is based in Lahore in Pakistan. It's a very personal story where, because previously I wrote books where I was, exploring, okay, this story is set in Canada, this story is set in America. But eventually, when I grew into my career, I realized that I want to tell stories that are mine, that are our country's story, we as people. So this book is important because this book is the first time in my authored books where I'm writing a Pakistani story. I'm sharing my culture, our food, our emotions, who we are as people. And I'm using a historical backdrop of the partition of Bangladesh. And it is very closely associated with the story, because whenever people will read it, somehow they will understand why I've used that context. But this is a very important book at this stage of my career, because it was a high time where I had to write something in a Shakespearean style, in a Bano Qudsiya merged with Shakespearean style. And it's again, I cannot match up to their greatness, but somehow I wanted to touch that genre and do what I do best. That is, I think, writing a love story.
They are
So
very
that is what I tried with this book.
they are very inspirational, and they are giants of two different languages. Banu Kutsia, she has her unique style, and we all know that Shakespeare is a classic. So I mean, and you mentioned that blend of these two. So this is really interesting. And would you like to share some any para from that book, or any dialogue, or anything you like in that book? I mean, I'm sure that you like all the stuff, but anything you want to share with our listeners?
Yes, I would like to share a bit about the book. I think I would like everyone to go and read it. So I won't be able to read out something from it, but I'd like to share something interesting that I'm not a poet, but with this book, I have written poetry as well. So I have ventured in this book. When you will get into the journey of, the main characters, their name is Saira and Sagar, right? So when you get on the journey of Saira and Sagar, you will be reading not just what they're going through, you will be going through a journey of poetry, of art, of letters, the name as it suggests, of a lot of insight into their world. So letters to love is different, is something that I think I didn't think, and I hadn't even, I don't know if anybody else has done it, but it's a mix of, it's sort of an experience that I want people to sort of, when they're reading, they're visualizing their life. So that is one thing I can say, and if I recite something out of the book, it would be a giveaway at this
Fine. I mean,
point.
that's really that's a wonderful way of putting it. So you shared your views about this wonderful book, Letters to Love, which is your most recent book, and you started with the book that was The Stranger. And tell us something about
Yes.
your third book, The Silent Intruder. What is that all about?
The Silent Intruder was a crime drama, and I think that was one of the book that was sort of a preparational level of my career. I think that book was written where I had to experience something out of my safe space, that was writing love stories. The short story that I mentioned from where I started, that was also a sort of love story. And I think that was my strength. But then I had to break that space. I had to come out of my shell as a writer. And The Silent Intruder came from that place. That was purely to challenge my limits, to push myself as a writer. And it is a story of a couple that is going through a very tough time to safeguard their family against a drug mafia. And that is all set in the US. And a very interesting thing about that book that I tell a lot is that I haven't been to the US, but I did write and sketch out the whole details, and then I sent it to the people who have been there, and they're like, it's just very eerily similar to what it actually is, and that just makes me very happy.
So this is really great, and it must have been because a writer, someone who writes, and you also direct and write. You are a screenwriter also. So the first thing such people have is their visualization, and so you sitting in Lahore, you can visualize the environment and the all that stuff that is in the US, and people may relate with them. So this is really commendable. So you mentioned that your journey as a writer, and you mentioned your inspiration also. So you published your books also, and from publishing, then you created cinematic stuff also. You produced and directed these films. So why this transition? I mean, from the books then to this this visual medium. What was that?
I think I have always, like I said, that at very early age, I realized that storytelling is something that I want to do. Storytelling is something that is why I am here, sort of thing. That is something I really, really believe in. And I did not want to constrict myself to just writing books. I think I was very clear that I want to tell stories, but I also want to write books. So when I wrote my books and then I transitioned, I learned how to write screenplays. That was because I had this hunger to tell stories from this medium. So I actually did this course, and I haven't still, gotten the certificate out of it. And I've been in the field for like more than 5 years now, and I'm writing screenplays and mashallah producing them. So point is that visual storytelling or storytelling in any format is something that I want to do in life. That is what I'm doing. So then my transition from the screenplays, and now that in the third phase where I am trying to visualize everything. So I co-produced One Step Too Many, and then I had this urge, a hunger that I've now been introduced to the world of films. So why not try it? So this year I actually tried to direct something, a very short film that I probably will be releasing by the end of the year. And then I had this insight that okay, now I have a book that I'm going to be presenting to the people. So why not give an insight of my world, my character's world through visual medium? So I produced and directed these very small teasers for my book teasers that are available on my social media platforms, where I did give an insight like to the world of the letters to love, and how these characters might define themselves in those few seconds. Because I think when the reader, as a storyteller, I would love to turn my book into a film someday. Again, as I said, the hunger is just to tell the story. So I think that somehow that hunger is the answer to your question, that I just want to tell stories. Yes. And it does not constrict myself to writing books or writing screenplays or directing films and producing them.
So be it on paper or be it on screen, your passion is storytelling, whatever the medium is. Since storytelling is your passion, and you mentioned Banu Qudsiya and Shakespeare, who are the other inspirations when you see the literary arena here, or you mentioned Shakespeare also? Who are the early inspirations from the literary world and from the film world also?
Yes, I think Paulo Coelho is somebody that I really look up to. That is one person who has pushed me and has inspired my writing style a lot. The first book that I ever read in my right mind, in my teenage mind, where I was ripe and I was ready for ideas, was The Alchemist. So that really got my brain to be stimulated towards ideas outside of, we have these four walls and, typical Pakistani mindset. But then it just opened my horizons to more ideas, to spirituality, to life outside the mundane routine, And I'm very, very inspired by Paulo Coelho. Still, I think I am a huge fan, and it's my dream to somehow meet him someday. And when it comes to books, authors, I think we have one of the finest writer there. I really like him. Other than that, I think I really in the world of screenwriting, in terms of filmmaking, I think we have our own legends here in Pakistan. And when it comes to screenwriting, I think Shoaib Mansoor Saab is very nice. I like his work here in Pakistan. So I remember that we had this really good film Bol. I really like that. And whatever work is happening in Pakistan, I really like it. But in terms of Hollywood and Bollywood, I think they're also and I think I would like to add in here that I genuinely feel one thing with all my heart, that we can talk about inspirations and references around the world. Like, okay, I look up to this person, David Lynch is good, or this person is good, Sanjay Leela Bhansali is doing great job. But as a storyteller, as a creator, whoever, wherever is, they're sitting and talking, and they are existing, they have their own world in their mind. So whenever they are visualizing, you can take references. Okay, this is inspired from this person, but they have their own world going on. So that's something I would really like to add here.
That's really great. And you mentioned Paulo Coelho, and I recently had a full episode on his works, and he is really a marvelous novelist of our era. And you also mentioned Shoaib Mansoor Sahab, and Shoaib Mansoor is one of the leading names in our direction when it comes to, and you mentioned one of his movies, Bowl, and the other movies he has directed, and the TV plays and programs like 50-50, and there's a lot of wonderful work of Shoaib Mansoor we see.
When it comes to our movies, I think we when it comes to Bollywood, I think Imtiaz Ali is somebody that I really look up to in terms of how he tells his story.
He is also a wonderful director, and so this is really wonderful. And one more thing I would like here to enlighten our listeners about that. Most of the artists here in our society, they struggle financially, and you mentioned that you self-published your books, and you are working and you are directing movies also. So how do you balance this financial stuff and while still protecting your artistic vision? Because it's not something easy for our. I'm just asking this because this will give a way and a hope for most of the persons who want to do direction, or they want to publish their works, but this financial struggles, this is something that need to be addressed. So tell us your experience.
Okay, so when I started off, I would like to start from there. I knew that nothing can be done if I don't have my own money. So I am a very practical sort of an artist, that I know that I need to have my money. I need to work on things that I may not want to work on, just because so that I can, fund my art. So what happened is that from very early time, from like very start, when I started blogging, I have been doing freelancing. Freelancing is something that has given me independence to do my art as much as earning money along with that. So I was a content writer, then I developed my skills. So I have this rule that freelancing, if you have to be in the field of freelancing and earn from a remote perspective, you have to continue enhancing your skills. So I kept learning new things. So I started with content writing, then I learned graphic designing, and then video editing. So I continued with that. In 3 years back, I became a part of Jar Solutions, a company that was founded by my childhood friend. He's like a brother to me. It's a marketing company, it's an outsourcing company, and then from there that's where I work now. So I'm a business development person in that company, business development head, and I work remotely. So that is something, a hybrid setup that I've gotten out of this working space, where I'm working as a business development head, where my job is this. This is what I do in the time, and if it's a very ideal situation where I'm just sitting and writing, that doesn't happen. That's what I would love to do, but that's what my job asks me. I have my work in the daytime, and at night time, at times in 2 a.m. in the morning, I might have a meeting or something. So I give my best at the job so that I can do my art. That is something that I do. Along with this job, even because, as you really rightly said, that if you don't have money, you cannot source your art. So I also take up small projects that I can do in the mid. So I keep my brain occupied in two sections. One is, creating stuff in my art, my books, my films, and the other one is being very good at the corporate stuff in the freelancing domain.
This is really commendable, and I'm sure that our listeners, they will also get inspiration from you. And you mentioned that in your recent book, you had this experience of writing poetry also. So can you tell us the inspirations, the poets you like in English or in Urdu, or if you have your that poem, and can you just share a few lines or a couplet with us?
My inspiration is definitely starting from Allama Iqbal. Then we have Faiz Ahmad Faiz. I remember I was studying for A levels, and they have this very beautiful syllabus where you have to read all these amazing poets. So before that, I was very naive girl living in the world out there with these great ideas. But when I read Allama Iqbal, when I read Faiz Ahmad Faiz, when I read Gulzar, actually Ghalib, I'm sorry, Ghalib, not Gulzar, Ghalib. My whole prospect towards life was changed. It was so inspired. Um, like I right now, one thing on top of my head is Bazicha Altaf by Ghalib. That's something that is I can read it over and over again, because I think these ideas, these ideations, they sort of, they're like seeds. And when a young mind, I think when I did read those, they become a source of wisdom, because your thought process is challenged. You keep thinking. So these are then we have Parveen Shakir as well. I really like her work. um, um right now in English, I don't have any person's name in my head except Shakespeare. I did read his work for my A levels as well. So all of these popular ones have ignited my interest towards poetry. But then when you progress, as you said, what is your inspiration towards writing it? That's experiences in life. That is experience with love. I think that's experience with pain that pushed me to, write poetry. And I think, and I'm very, very adamant on this point, that poetry only comes out of a place of pain.
That's
Whenever
right.
you are going through an intense experience, whatever it is, that's the only point that will produce poetry.
That's absolutely perfect, and that's very nicely explained. You mentioned that you self-published your books, and tell our listeners about that. How, if someone wants to get their works self-published, because these days we see that publishing your work is also not that easy,
Yes.
and usually the renowned publishers, they don't accept works from newcomers, and also they are very costly. So how did you manage that?
There is an opportunity. Like, I also was, and I still struggle with this, and I hope to grow further into the traditional publishing setup. But it's very important that we do not give up on sharing our work. So I was very, very excited for it, but then I realized, oh, it's very costly. But there is this one platform online which I would mention to the young writers here, that is Draft 2 Digital. And it goes like Draft 2 is in a numerical form and then digital. So that platform gives you the opportunity to publish at least your ebooks to internationally recognized bookstores. That was completely free of cost, and that was my pushing point. That's where I started. So when I self-published there, I had my book available online on bookstores as an ebook. Other than that, you can take that book and get it printed from here, from any printer. That's what I did with my first book. But now at this point in my life, I wanted a bigger exposure. So I'll just share what I did. I hope it helps everyone. I published through Draft to Digital, and then I partnered with a Pakistani self-publishing company called Orak Publications. So they also have the book here. So whenever somebody wants to order the book, they can go to their website, place an order, and get your book in a printed copy. That wasn't done in my previous two books. And other than that, I got my own authored copies. So, you can sort of distribute it on your own. That's what I've been doing with my work up until now. But the edge that self-publishing with a Pakistani company will give you is that your work will be available online in the paperback format. So it's just start, and it's obviously the ideal situation is to go with traditional publishing, but it's a very hard domain, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But until you figure that out, don't give up on sharing your work. These are the two free and very low cost platforms from where you can start.
That's really great, and this is really informative because people most of the times they have their they have their works with them, but they don't find any publisher, and you have really enlightened that there are platforms available.
Yeah.
That's really great. So you mentioned that you are working on your one of the movies, new movie. So can you tell our listeners about that? What is that new movie that is all about, and what is the theme?
Firstly, right now my focus is to take my book to more places. I want to take my book to the people of Pakistan, because again, as I said, this is the story of Pakistan. This is a story that I want people to read. If they even if they don't like it, they should just read it. I think it's a very popular saying that an artist thrives on attention, on appreciation. That's true, but I think I've come to a realization that more than appreciation, it is about just the attention. Anyone who's creating something, they want people to know about it, that okay, this is my story. You like it or not, that's fine, but you see it, right? So right now my focus is to take the book to the students, to the young people of Pakistan, and sort of push them with the same prospect that we are talking about, that you can also write, tell stories. I think telling stories and with letters to love, why I have this ideation is that we need more storytellers in Pakistan. We need people to come forward and share their stories, because somehow I really feel that the lack of storytelling in any society leads to a very bad downfall, because we stop tapering or touching the emotional intelligence of our youth. And I really feel that it is very important that we keep doing that, so that there is more sense of empathy in our society. We have more emotional intelligence. So first thing is that. Secondly, I'm coming up, hopefully, inshallah, it's my plan to shoot a film in next year, which will be about a disabled character, but I hope to direct it, inshallah. It will be about female friendships. It will be about mental health and a disability element into it. And I think it's very, very important that we talk about people with disabilities and generally mental health issues, along with mental health issues with people with disabilities, because of the inclusion and other things that add on in their lives. So I hope that film should be done and shot in next year, hopefully, inshallah.
So you mentioned that you want your book, that people should read that book, and what exactly have you done for that, and is there any thing that you want to share regarding that? I mean, did you present that book in any of the? We see that we have so many festivals, book fest. There is in Karachi in these days also a book fair is going on, and we have so many literature festivals also in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, in major cities, Peshawar, Multan. So do you have any plans to take your book to these festivals where more people can know about this book?
Yes, I did have, and again, I will come to the point that I don't have too much money to put into this aspect of my book. And as I realized that I recently was going through, this again a festival that is going on or is about to happen, and I realized that I need money to put my book there. Self-published book, that is, if you need to put it there, you need money. But as you said that I would definitely love to put my book out there if an opportunity is presented. I keep reaching out to people. I keep reaching out to these festivals, hopefully that I would be able to take a self-published book to that platform. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to reach out to the audiences through my social media campaigns, through hopefully TV interviews, through hopefully reaching out to the universities. If somebody, I did recently have a session with the ComSat's literature department, talking about the book, talking about the process, talking to young writers. My idea or my prospect will be to reach out to more universities in a request to bring my book to the students, and maybe in a hope to share the book with them, to share my process with them. So that is what right now I'm trying to do. Other than that, I am going to reach out to these book clubs that we have in our local small things. So you might be noticing that I'm doing the things that require lesser investment and maybe no investment, and that's what it is to be a self-published author, an independent author in a country like Pakistan, because we don't have that much money to put into stalls right now. I'll be very honest with you. You have to buy a space to in these festivals, and for that to happen, we need to sell some books. So that's what I'm trying to do.
So but this is commendable that you are doing, but this is all you are doing on your own, and like reaching out to the universities, or reaching out to the students, or uploading stuff on your social media accounts. But this is something strange that and like, since you are your first book that came out in 2019, so it's been 6 years almost since then, and you are in Lahore, and there are so many festivals every year in Lahore, and so many book fairs. So you been approached by any of the organizers, or any of those organizations, or those literary circles there? So that really sounds strange, because
yes, no, not at all. I did try to take myself forward. I did try to put myself out there on the map, but I haven't been reached out. I hope so I get reached out. But I did do some TV interviews. I did go on the radio as well. I did try to put myself out there through social media, but I haven't been reached out. No.
But we are sure that the kind of hard work you are doing, and you will soon be reached out by them. And for an artist, for a writer, for a poet, for a screenwriter, their work is to just keep doing the stuff they are doing, and people will definitely acknowledge sooner or later. We see that with our great artists. You mentioned so many wonderful poets of their times. I mean, you mentioned Shakespeare also, and you mentioned Ghalib also, and there's so many other poets and writers and artists. And if we go through their life stories, we know that they weren't that popular when they started writing, or when they started their work. They were not that known. So I mean, that is something that comes with time, and there is always time. So one should keep doing, and as you and the names like one step too many. So names like these, there is an inspiration in this name also, and so I'm sure, and my listeners, they will also agree with this, that a writer or an author or a filmmaker, screenwriter, they should keep on doing what they are doing, and one day they will definitely be.
And I also believe the same. I think I have been doing the same. As I said, that every year or the other, I don't think any 1 year has passed that I haven't stuck to an artistic endeavor. That's what I plan to do. That is what my plan, that I want to continue publishing one book at least in every 2 years. If it reaches the audience, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter. But that's what I aspire to do. And I completely agree with you that if you keep doing your work with the right intent, it reaches the audiences, and hopefully it will, inshallah.
And in today's world, Zahra ji, in today's world, things have become easier for us. Like, for instance, you mentioned that you share your works on your social media accounts, and we see that the works of various artists, that work reaches out to a large audience instantly. So the audience, they are there, they like your work, they relate to it. They they admire your work, and inshallah we are sure that you will be reached out by these these literary institutions or these festivals also, inshallah. So you mentioned that your upcoming project that is focused on PWDs and with this mental health. Both these areas are significant, and so tell us why do you focus more on such things? I mean, why don't you write just a sort of a simple love story? Why with these PWDs or someone with mental health?
Yeah, actually, my books are all about love stories. My books are all in that prospect. Right now, and I do write stories with normal approaches as well. But I think it's very important as an author to touch the subjects that usually people would not be talking about. I think the whole point of certain stories is to touch the subjects that will make the reader, the person who's watching, the viewer, a little uncomfortable, or little in a space where you'll be sitting down and thinking what is exactly going on, or something like that challenges your mind. So I think I am the sort of storyteller that wants to trigger ideas, that wants to trigger a sort of a thinking process at least. It's not that I want people to think a certain way that I want people to think about. I want people to use their mind. So when they're reading my stories, or if they're watching my film, if they're watching something that I have written and directed or produced, or whatever prospect that I want the consumer of my stories to use their mind and create their own opinions about it. So I think as an author, as a writer, what I want to do is to challenge my consumers that it's not something that will be served to you directly. We have a lot of love stories that are served to us very directly, but let's be honest that in reality, even the love stories are very complicated and not usually the way we see in these books and films. They're much complex, they're much more deeper. Letters to Love is actually a very reality based love story, because it takes you down on a journey of very real pain that happens when you fall in love per se. So in terms of, you asked why the subjects of PWDs and mental health, I think it's very important to talk about PWDs as a marginalized group in Pakistan. It's very important to normalize their appearance on screen, to normalize their life experiences as well as you would say a normal person's experiences. And why mental health? I think it's about time, because as a nation, as a group of people, we do have a high levels of overwhelmed people. And this generation in particular, the upcoming ones, I have no idea what will happen to them, because this generation, the one that I am a part of, they are very overwhelmed. And we barely talk about the burnout that we are going through, the emotional burnout that we are going through as a generation. So it's not that I want to sort of do some advocacy here. It's basically that my stories will at least make people think, okay, so this person is behaving this way, that person might be overwhelmed or going through something in his mind. So that's something that I would like to educate and sort of stir in my consumers.
That is a brilliant way of explaining it. And yes, I have gone through your works, and I acknowledge that you have written those normal kind of typical love stories also. But you rightly mentioned that these mental health and PWDs, and you're as an author or as a screenwriter, this also becomes your responsibility to educate your readers or your those who watch your work. So this is absolutely perfectly explained, that you also want to educate. And unfortunately in our society, such things aren't taken that openly. So do you think, Zahra ji, that in Pakistani electronic media or in print media, these PWDs, or are they shown the way they should have been, or what is your take on this?
I don't think so. I think the one dream that I carry with me is to see a person with disability firstly on the face of a film's poster. That I keep telling from the past 5 years. I've been saying it, and I hope to do it one day. I don't think Pakistani people have actually portrayed people with disabilities the way they should have been portrayed, because either it's all bichari case, that oh poor girl, or oh my god what is happening, or either it's bitterness. So what I want to do with my work or with my films is to show people with disabilities in their real flesh. You know, we are people, okay, so there's a very interesting take, I'll give it to you, that people with disabilities come later to people, right?
Absolutely.
So that is what I want to do with my stories, that we are human beings. Yes, our bodies, our way of living, our lifestyle is different, but our experiences are not. The way we go through life, the way we are not inspiring anyone by getting out of bed. So you can't just say, oh, such an inspirational figure because she showed up. No, I think people with disabilities, I've been a part of this community for the past 15, 16 years now. I've met people in Lahore, and then they are very inspiring women, they're very inspiring men. And the way they conduct their lives is something else. But, you know, they don't want people to show it that, oh my God, inspiring. They want people to show, okay, I woke up and, you know, I didn't get this job. It's very hurtful. Or I fell in love with this man and he didn't marry me. Or, you know, I wanted to go abroad, but traveling wasn't easy. And, you know, this is what my experience is. So these are very small life experiences of people with disabilities. And now if we look outside in the US, there's a show called Superstore, and it's a show about a superstore, but there is this one person who's working there. He's in a wheelchair, and that is as normal as the person who's standing on the on the money counter or whatever. So that's what I aim to do here. I don't want if we show people with disabilities in, you know, good intervals, in stories, through television, through film, you know, children will be looking at them, you know, youth will be absorbing them, and then they will find it to be a normal thing. That is where the change will start. You know, that is where the word inclusion will actually start happening, because they won't see it something as inspiring or weird or out of the blue. And this includes all type of disabilities. It's very important to shed light on the word inclusion here, because stories are the best way to instill any idea in a society. That's what I want to do.
That is really brilliant. And stories are, of course, the best way of making things look normal. As you rightly mentioned, that and in our media or in our stories, you rightly mentioned that they are not shown the way they should have, the way they should be shown.
Yes.
And you shared that US show example also, and this is where your role comes in, that you being an author or screenwriter, you focus on such things, and in your work also such characters in your stories, they are shown as normal characters like other characters, and this is what we need to focus on. And this word inclusion, that is of course the most suitable word to define this all stuff. So Zahra Batool ji, we are in the last 5 minutes of our show. So what can you please tell our listeners, enlighten them for your upcoming works, what you want them, you mentioned that you want your listeners and readers to to read your works, to watch the movies you have, these short movies you have directed. But what else is your message for them?
I think one message that I want to give to the people who are listening is read. I think we have lost that section of our society that used to read stuff. I think it's very important to read and pick up the books, pick up anything and just start reading. Secondly, I would like to give a message that if you think that you can write, just start writing. Letters to Love is giving me an opportunity to actually speak to that part of the society, because letters used to be written by hand. You used your mind, you used your creativity. Even if you were writing to your mother or father or writing to your sister, you used to sit down and think and then write. So I, as a writer, really feel, and I've gotten this opportunity with Letters to Love, is that I want to introduce the idea of writing anything. So journaling in general, we used to have, I still journal. I have a journal that I write every day. I think it's very important to read and write because they are the basics of a very healthy minded society. Everything, whatever I'm talking about, my advocacy, inclusion or work or fiction, everything is aside. But if you are not reading and writing, we are very much in a very bad state as a society. So one message will be to start reading and writing. And secondly, try to be open to new ideas, open to hearing people, to seeing their perspective. I think I have really come to a realization that we've become very gray and, black and white sort of a society. But there is a gray area where you need to give room to new ideas and to new perspectives so that we can grow. We can accept people, we can accept opinions. We don't have to agree with them, but at least give them space to breathe and thrive. And that's what I think I want to do with my work, with my perspective, so that this is something that I want people to have more accepting nature towards it.
This is a brilliant message to wrap this off. And listeners, you just listened to Zahra Batool Sahiba, and she very rightly said that write and read. And in this era of digital stuff everywhere, and we tend to do everything, with the help of AI. We most of us write our emails or our office stuff with the help of such things. But Zahra Saiba, as she rightly mentioned, that something that must comes from our heart, and we should use our minds and hearts to write, and whatever we feel we should write, and we should read also, and that is the way to connect to our own selves. And Zahra Batool Saiba, I am genuinely grateful to you for taking time out. You are such an inspirational person, and our listeners, as we mentioned, that she is a screenwriter, she's an author, she is a wonderful inspirational person. So it was an interview, and thank you very much once again for joining us. And listeners, till next time, this is Imad on Planet FM 87.6 signing off. Allah Hafiz.